I've been fishing my whole life. I've been fishing for a living, working my hands and bleeding on the decks of all the boats here and up in Northport where I was born since I was 8 years old. Now I am actually making a living and giving back to the bay that supported me for 40 years. I started out clamming, moved into harvesting oysters from the wild. Predominantly all winter long we are harvesting to market the final product, and we're building new equipment or restoring old equipment. Just like the oysters have cycles throughout the year, we follow those cycles. So coming out of the winter, we'll be raising the submerged oysters, which are submerged in cages. We'll be raising those cages and we'll be transferring the oysters from cage bags, which don't have floats on them, into floating bags to bring them up to the surface for the surface season. So we tumble the oysters several times a year. The oysters are dumped onto a table, seaweed and macroalgae pulled out from the pile. They're rinsed and pushed through the machine that grades them to size, turns them against one another, and then they're rebagged and planted again. As they grow, they take up more space in the bag, and so when you start out, you might have 1,000 baby oysters in a bag. If you just left them alone, you'd have 100 survivors at the end of the year. But when you empty it out as they grow and just put 2 gallons into a 6-gallon bag, then the oysters have the space to get their food and not compete with one another, and they can grow and stay clean. So the idea is to keep the density at a manageable level, which we really should take some lessons from on that one, if you ask me. So we do our best to help create the best environment for the oyster, meaning only simply to keep a direct access to the natural things that an oyster would in the wild. The whole idea of this surface grow-out system is to keep the oysters up on the surface for a couple of different reasons. One being that the nutrient level is a little bit richer. There's also different nutrients up on the surface of the water. Right where the strongest low tide interacts with the tidal wetlands, that's a primo spot for shellfish. And the reason is, that's where the surface water is interacting most with the bottom. You're looking at out here is the remnants of our surface grow-out system, which is our nursery area. The floating bags house our youngest oysters. We normally have 4,500 bags floating on the surface of the water like a vineyard of the sea. They're arranged with auger anchors, 320 feet long with an anchor in the middle. Our work schedule is year-round. We are in the water in February. There's icebergs. We're still in the water. We wear a 6mm wetsuit with rain gear over it, and we can get in the water and get things done. Throughout our farm, we're walking. It's high tide right now, so we'll be walking in water this deep. It's considered unnavigable waters. The reason why we were able to get this approved here, it's so shallow, boats were running aground. I feel that now that I have a foothold in shellfish aquaculture, and knowing that the East End is a prime location for shellfish aquaculture, I would be honored to be able to carry it forward a notch. I'd like to start a shellfish aquaculture program in the town where commercial guys like me could go and set up a farm and actually give back to the bay and respect the bay. I'd like to work with kids and adults and take them out, show them what we do and how we do it. And I also have some really good ideas for expanding aquaculture on a level that would provide a lot of protein for the life force right here from Montauk.